This has been a strange year across the world, and MotoGP season's no different. In just the last two races, I've witnessed three of the worst crashes I've ever seen in motorcycle racing. This week we'll do something a little bit different. We'll take a look at those crashes. We'll talk about how they relate to what we do on the street and what we can learn from them. Hey, my name's Kevin, and I release a weekly video here on MCrider focused on road skills or road strategy to help make you a better rider. And I've often said that you can get yourself in trouble riding on the street like you're on the track. The biggest reason for that is that the street is pretty unforgiving for riders having crashes. Two of the biggest areas where riders get in trouble and crash on the street are intersections and curves. Intersections are a particular problem because they often involve a car, and a car is always going to win in a crash with the motorcycle. The other area is curves. GP riders also crash in curves, but they don't have trees or cliffs or guardrails or curbs or oncoming traffic in the other lane when they crash in a curve. On the street, it's a different story to crash in a curve. So as I said in the intro, we're going to take a look at the three crashes that happened in MotoGP over the last couple of weeks. While the crashes aren't gory in the sense of having blood and guts, and everyone involved was ultimately okay, which I think you'll be surprised when you see the nature of these crashes. They are pretty intense in nature, so just a heads up about that. So let's look at these three different crashes, what they could tell us about riding on the street, and the one big thing that we can learn from all three crashes about surviving our own incidents out on the street. So this is Maverick Vinales, number 12. He's going to approach this corner and totally lose the front brakes of the motorcycle. So a couple of points from this incident. Notice all the room that he's got to slide off the track. That's what we're talking about, the difference between riding on the track and riding on the street. You got runoff room on the track, you don't on the street. Notice also that the motorcycle stayed upright. Sometimes we work so hard to make sure we're maintaining the balance, or when the motorcycle gets a little wiggle on the road, we tighten up. That bike wants to stay upright. Our best thing that we can do a lot of times is just relax and let it do its thing. Well, I've heard it said on YouTube before by other motorcycle YouTubers that they might jump off their motorcycle if a car pulled out in front of them. I think that's a ridiculous proposition. You're always better to try to come to a stop. But in this instance, if you got no brakes, you're headed into that wall, that was probably his best option. So this incident involves two riders on the track, and their crash has an impact on our friend Maverick Vinales again and the MotoGP legend Valentino Rossi. So let's see what happens on this one. Here we got another example of a motorcycle staying upright after a heavy collision. And I've got riders asking all the time, what do you do about a graded road, or if the surface is a little bit unlevel out on the street? They tell you that motorcycle at speed wants to stay upright, and these are perfect examples of it. These are motorcycles with no rider on board, and yet they're staying upright for hundreds of feet. So the best thing we can do a lot of times is just relax on the motorcycle and let it correct itself through that issue. So here we're on board with Rossi as he's approaching that corner. You can see his speeds down there at the bottom, but I want you to pay attention to something else. As he gets into this corner, watch how close this was for him through that corner, but watch what he does next. Let's look at that again so we can see exactly how close that actually was. So Rossi's being pelted by debris. He's got two motorcycles that passed directly in front of him, and within a half a second of this incident, he's back on the throttle going at it again. Man, the mental toughness of these guys is amazing. And it's something that we should strive for as well. When something happens on the street, we don't let that one incident affect every corner from there on out. We keep our focus on what's up the road, because what's already happened we can't do anything about. So their mental toughness is amazing, and Rossi, in this instance, shows what separates him from the rest of us. So this final incident shows one of the real dangers in this sport. Rider loses the rear end coming around the corner, but instead of his motorcycle sliding off the track, it stays on the track, and with limited sight lines of the riders behind him, somebody gets in real trouble with it. So this was the highest speed and probably the most violent crash of the three. And both riders came out okay after this crash. Even the guy that hit the motorcycle, they said he was treated for bruising afterwards. But his sight line really left him no option here. He didn't see that motorcycle until it was too late. I see riders doing this on the street every day. And I passed a guy just the other day directly behind a large truck on the highway, could not see up the road. All it takes is one piece of tire from an 18-wheeler or something in the road, and you're in the same situation that our rider found himself in here. Keep a following distance. That following distance is going to save you time and time again out on the street. Sometimes on the track it's not possible. These guys are racing full out, and they're right up on top of the rider in front of them. But we have an option on the street that helps us have time and space to avoid incidents just like this. So we've just watched three really tough incidents from the track, but in every situation, the worst injury was this rider right here. He was treated for some severe bruising. Other than that, he was okay. And he never even lost consciousness, according to the EMTs that were there to treat him. So what we can learn from these guys is that gear saves lives. In every instance, these riders were geared up, full face helmet, they had protective gear on, and that gear saved their life. There is no question about it, no doubting it. Think about that the next time you want to ride and feel the wind in your hair, that you never know when something is going to happen out on the street. And if you want to get up from it, you need to think about that before you get on the motorcycle and get that proper gear on to help you out on the street. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road.